Hello, welcome to Air Cargo Update. This is Mohammed Irshad. We are at Breakbulk Middle East event today. I have with me Mr. Nick from Air Charter Service. He's the cargo director of Middle East.
That's correct.
Welcome to our program.
Thank you very much.
So we'll have a quick interview with him regarding the cargo part of the Air Charter Service company. So over to you, coming back, what are the challenges you are facing today being in the cargo industry?
The challenges in our business are changing every day. If we just go back in the last 5 years, the challenges started with COVID and the huge demand from China to Middle East, Europe and the USA for the PPE equipment, masks, which then moved on to the vaccines, which are being manufactured in India, in China, some in the UK. So the problem then was the aircraft availability. The other problem during the COVID times was that half of all, more than probably 80% of all cargo around the world moved in the belly of passenger planes. And during COVID, all passenger flights stopped, particularly from Asia towards Europe, because China shut down. So that put a lot of pressure on the freighter aircraft, the main deck freighters. There were also so many restrictions in China with the loading crew not being able to come on the aircraft, not being able to go near anyone, wearing full bio suits. China had the zero COVID lockdowns. And what that meant is suddenly the lift was reduced by 90% for whether you wanted a face mask or you wanted an iPhone or you wanted a laptop. So the kilo rates went through the roof, the charter rates went through the roof. A typical charter before COVID during peak season, before Christmas, from China to Europe, in the peak season, September, October, November, was about, for a 777, was about $450,000, $500,000. During COVID, a main deck freighter 74 777 with 100 tons was costing to Europe $1.5 million, to the US over $2 million, just for general cargo or COVID PPE equipment. So that was a huge challenge. Availability, therefore pushing up the cost. Even if you did want the aircraft and you're willing to pay the money, there may still be no aircraft for you for 3 weeks. So that was a big demand. Then after COVID, things quietened down considerably quickly. The oil prices went back down and availability became very available. There was overcapacity in the market from Asia, and the rates for both air and sea just fell through the roof. The airlines are chasing us brokers going, how's our quote? Do you need a better price? The prices now from Asia to Europe were $250,000 from the $1.5 million a few months earlier. And then, like that, another thing happened. There's the war, or the situation going on with Russia and Ukraine, and suddenly the market swung again. We lost all Russian aircraft, lost the ability to fly in Europe or the US. A lot of aircraft were diverted to flying cargo into Europe for support of some operations in the conflict, and suddenly there was no availability again, and suddenly the rates started climbing. And just now the rates have gone very quiet and things were slow. We weren't seeing too much of a peak season last year, and this is January, February, March is usually the slowest time of year. And last week we had the terrible earthquake in Turkey and Syria, and currently all of our focus is on that. So most of the carriers, the legacy carriers, the QRs, the EKs, the SVs, are happy to THY, happy to fly into Turkey, into Adana, into the Stroke area of Turkey. However, Syria is the region that us charter operators are getting involved in. We're using charter aeroplanes. We're having to go through a lot of compliance. We're having to go through a lot of checks. We have to make sure with the sanctions that are on Syria that we're only supplying to NGOs in the country. The WFPs, the Red Crescents. We can't supply to the government there. So our phones are ringing off the hook for the charter planes, the IL-76s, the Airbuses. So it's an extremely busy week during COVID, and so that's how the market has gone like that in the last 5 or 6 years. For the Middle East, particularly, we saw that.
It's a market full of competitors now. So
yeah.
In that reference, I wanted to ask you, What are the air cargo solutions you provide for your clients, and while maintaining the transport, like a timely or a secure?
Why are they using ACS?
Yeah.
Not our competitor. Well, I mean, there's lots of reasons. We've got 30 offices around the world, so we have a lot of, no matter where the cargo's going to or from, we have local expertise, whether that be in China, South America, Middle East, Africa. We know the local agents, we know the local operators. So first of all, we have buying power with the local airlines. Rather than the big global airlines, the local airlines, we have personal contacts and personal buying power. All of our customers who are freight forwarders have a single account manager, a single point of contact, who calls them every few months to see if they've got any inquiries, works their inquiries, runs their flights, invoices them after the flight, looks after problems during the flight. So there's one accountable person to that customer, rather than it being sold and handed over to operations and then handed over to invoicing. ACS has always worked as one point of contact. So there's those two reasons, and we're always available to our customers. We have another important reason is safety and compliance. We have a big legal and compliance division sat in London. We can't operate with aeroplanes that don't have valid AOCs, insurance, airworthiness. You know, you can never guarantee a flight will fly safely, but you have to make sure that the aircraft is airworthy, the aircraft is insured to the country it's flying in as well. You know, if it's going into a war zone, it's going to Afghanistan, we need to see it's got additional war risk insurance for Afghanistan. So our compliance, our local knowledge, our buying power, our single point of contact, I think that's just some of the reasons off the top of my head.
Globally saying, today there's a huge demand. I mean, like the industry is thinking about sustainability. In coming years, there will be more preferences for a company to maintain the sustainability. So what does the air charter service company has? I mean, what is the planning you have for maintaining sustainability in coming years?
Well, we can't beat around the bush. Logistics is not the most carbon friendly thing, whether you're in air freight, sea freight, road freight. It's not hugely efficient for the environment. However, we are a carbon neutral company through our own internal operations. We only charter the aeroplanes, so we are certified as carbon neutral. We do have, each of our offices has got committees working on environmental practices. Just the simple things like getting rid of single-use plastics in the office, using cardboard, printing on both sides of the piece of having double-sided printing. Just the small things that can make a little difference to the amount of paper, the amount of plastics. Obviously, our newest initiative is that all ACS company vehicles are at least hybrid, if not fully electric. So that's the big thing that's happening at the moment, as the hybrids and electrics are becoming more available. With regards to the aeroplanes, unfortunately they do give off a lot of carbon, and that's the same with any form of logistics really. But we are seeing aircraft, the industry and the operators moving towards a more fuel efficient and more environmentally friendly aircraft, like the A350s with carbon fibre. A lot of their body is carbon fibre, they're lighter, the engines are more efficient, giving off less CO2. New jet fuels are being looked into. New propulsion systems, they're looking at the electric aircraft, they're a long way off, but the aircraft themselves are becoming cleaner and they're becoming more efficient. And we try and work with the cleanest, most efficient operators, because their costs are also most efficient in the long run. So it's a difficult question that in our industry.
So Nick, where do you see yourself, I mean your company, in coming 5 years when it comes to the regions like Middle East, like Africa, like India?
Well, I mean, generally as a company we've been expanding very quickly recently, over recent years. When I joined the company in 2006, we had 4 offices, which were London, New York, Moscow, which is unfortunately now closed, and Dubai had just opened that year, and I was in London. Now, fast forward, what are we, 18 years, 17 years? We now have 30 offices in every continent, apart from Antarctica, and we're growing at 4 or 5 offices a year. In the Middle East, we've got plans. In Middle East Africa, we have plans for some new openings. At the moment, Dubai is a regional office, but we see Saudi as the next big boom area, and it's the current boom area for logistics, with various projects like the Red Sea Islands, Neom, the Line, Alula. There's a Royal Saudi Film Commission and various filming companies trying to get Hollywood movies there. There's a lot of sports and events like the Paris-Dakar Rally is for the next 10 years in Saudi. Your Formula One is in Jeddah. So we are likely looking to expand in this region into Saudi. We already do a lot of business there. Sometimes it's helpful to have an actual presence there, but we'll see. In Africa, I guess we're looking in West Africa. At the moment, we're in Johannesburg. We're looking to probably open West African office. But again, the exact expansion plans of the company are slightly above my payroll. But I would say regionally, looking at where business is and where we'd like to expand at least our footprint or the amount of business we're doing. For me, in the GCC area, I would say Saudi 100%. And then Oman is really up and coming as well. Oman's really working hard with the new port at Sohar and the port of Duqm. And I don't know a lot about sea freight, but I know about these projects and the Etihad rail. It's going to cut for the sea freight. It's going to cut a lot of time off coming to UAE. So I think in the next 5-10 years, Oman's going to become a major logistics player in the region as well. So I'd say Saudi and Oman from my regional point of view. Okay.
That's all for today. We had a very good conversation with Nick.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Nick, for coming to our show.
Thank you very much.